everyone, it's James from the Fit RV, and today I'm coming at you with part 3 of the refrigerator replacement project, and I'm calling it Moving Day. Let's head inside and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so after removing everything, this is what I've got. Now, the fridge is going to go here, and it goes all the way down to the floor, so obviously a lot of this has to be removed. To show you how much, I've made sort of this surrogate for the fridge, and like there. So clearly the Truma ducts have to be removed, as well as a lot of this this wiring. Now, I've also got to stand in for the battery, by the way, because I'm going to store the battery in here too. So a lot of this wiring is thick, 3/4 inch cable, Truma ductwork, a lot of 12-volt wiring. So, but then I had a thought. What better than, because my first instinct is to push all this stuff back behind the fridge, but that'll choke off the airflow. So my first thought is, better than even moving any of this stuff is let's see if there's some of it that we can't remove. And I think what I'm going to start with is this guy right here. Now this is some sort of electronic gizmo that's attached to the stereo, the Jensen stuff. I think it's either a crossover or an amplifier of some sort. I'm a rocket guy, not electronics. So what I'm going to try to do is to get this out of this space altogether and move it up front. Okay, and so this is where I'm going to move the sub to. It just so happens I have another giant subwoofer that's a JBL that's not being used right now. In fact, it hasn't worked since I performed a Fiat radio update and it knocked out my additional amplifier. So this guy hasn't worked in a couple years, but he's still perfectly good. So I'm going to hook this up to the Jensen instead of the Jensen subwoofer. So now if you're following along at home and you don't happen to have a giant unused JBL subwoofer right here, you could either buy one or just move your existing Jensen subwoofer to this location. Also, if you were Winnebago and you were building one like this from scratch, I would suggest this as a location for the Jensen subwoofer. Alright, so the wiring for the subwoofer is all in here. This is where I'm going to move it to. I don't think this is going to be very interesting in a time-lapse thing. It's just going to be me not moving a whole lot and messing with wires. So I'll come back when we're done and we'll test it out. Yeah, all right, that works. So let me show you what I did with this subwoofer. Okay, so I was able to get that amp and all the wiring. See, there's the wiring comes in. You got the amp secure, or if it's an amp or I don't know what it is, really, crossover, I have no idea. But there it is, secured to the back of this. I know if you unplug it, it doesn't work. I got this little guy. This is some sort of line filter or something. It's only on the hot side. So got that in there, and I got the subwoofer wired in. So, but when I first hooked this up, it was what I thought was unusually quiet. I did a little poking around. I found it. This is actually a dual coil subwoofer, and I had only hooked up the Jensen as a single. I had only hooked up one side of it. So I split off the wires, and now both sides are hooked up, and it's plenty loud. Doing that, this was each of the coils was 6 ohms, and the Jensen speaker was a 4 ohm. So now, if my math is right, I've got a 3 ohm speaker. I'm not really too worried about that blowing anything up, but I do know it means more bass, so I'm pretty happy with that. Let me show you what I'm going to do next. Okay, so as you can see, that helped a little bit get some stuff out of here, but not really enough to get the fridge in. So next what I think I'm going to do is there's stuff here like this, which was the outlet for the converter, which I haven't had in here for a year and a half. And there's one for the refrigerator here. So I think I'm going to try to remove as much of this as I can now, and I'm going to take it all the way back to the circuit breaker box and yank these out of here. That's next. Okay, so I got this stuff out, but obviously this didn't create enough room, so the next phase is about to start. Come on. Alright, so there's still quite a bit of stuff here, and I've taken the Truma vents out for right now as well, just to give myself a little breathing room. What I want to do is move like all these cables and as many of these as I can back into this area back here, but I can't disconnect all of them, so I just kind of have to push them back, which means I've got to cut this out so that I can get things back there, which I'm going to use the Fine Multimaster for one of the 2 tasks that it's good at. So we're going to do that next, and then when I'm done, I'm going to have to go back and brace it, right, so that it's resting on something. So, all right, here we go. Ta-da! So now I can move all these wires back along here, and they'll be out of the way of the fridge and hopefully still give it plenty of room for venting. So I'm going to move wires and check back in a bit. Okay, it's been a long day of wrestling with wire, but I have two things to say. One, I'm done. And two, I have this saying that it's not officially a project until I bleed, and so it's officially a project. And I never cut myself in obvious ways that you would think about, like saw my arm off on a table saw. No, today I cut myself on insulation. Insulation. But come on. So, ta-da! I insulated the bejesus out of the back of this thing because the refrigerator is going to go back there, and we need to keep it cool so that cool air can... Anyway, you'll see down here, I've got all... I actually had to cut some out of the floor here to make room to lay these wires down. It gained me like another inch if I go down inside the channels. So these wires will go behind the fridge, and the air will exhaust actually out the front. So I got the Truma duct kind of pushed back up there against the wall. There's like R9 or 12 worth of insulation in the wall. I had to cut a bunch of wires because a lot of them were tangled. I had to cut a bunch of them and splice them back together once I had untangled them. But pretty much this, I mean, it's clear. We're ready for the fridge to go in. So tomorrow, I guess, or next video, I'm going to start building some cabinetry in the fridge. That's it for now. See you later.